So, hello and welcome to season 6 of the Mundane to Magical Online Summit series. My name is Louise Matson, and as always, I am truly blessed to be your host. And today, I really do feel blessed with a live interview with another beautiful brand new speaker to the show, Linda Llewellyn. Now, Linda has taught voice and chakra toning for 28 years in Boulder, Colorado, as well as online. She holds 2 BAs in music and in the psychology of health and healing from Naropa University.
Yeah, Naropa University.
And is a certified member of the Sound Healers Association. Linda's also certified in level 2 Reiki and has been singing professionally for over 40 years. Now, Linda feels more comfortable describing her work as a voice teacher rather than as a light worker. However, as I am well aware from my own personal journey, freeing our authentic voice is an essential part of everyone's spiritual journey, in my opinion. Now, the title of our conversation today, which I'm so looking forward to, is Singing Simply from Your Soul, Freeing Your Natural Voice. And I really love this title because it has been part of my personal journey over the last, my whole life, freeing my voice, but also the singing aspect and the bringing a natural and authentic expression through my voice has been something that has just been happening naturally over the last kind of 18 months, 2 years now. It truly is time for us all to allow our authentic selves to shine through, and in particular to shed any bindings that we may have within our field that have silenced us. And so it is my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome you to the show, Linda.
Thank you. Yeah, I so agree. I find that part of your authentic self and your truth and getting rid of layers of, judgment, the voice is a really big piece of that. It sort of naturally frees you in many ways when you free your voice. And so many people have self-judgment around voice. I don't know why, but it's so common.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know it's been a massive part of my personal journey, having silenced myself, not feeling safe to speak my truth. And actually, I kind of, I really believe in as we do one thing, we do all things. And so we're kind of trained in that way. As children, we're told to be seen and not heard. We're never asked our opinion. We're told what to think, what to do, how to be.
Right.
And I think so much of this has this impact on us silencing ourselves and being silenced by the way the society, the way we've grown up and lived. But
I agree.
As we start to break out of whatever blocks energetically exist within our field and start to break away from that kind of programming that we've undergone, then I find, or I have found, that it kind of creeps out naturally into, just finding myself toning, finding myself singing light language and things like that. And that in essence also then impacts on me being able to speak my truth more. So from your perspective, as somebody who's worked with people, is that something that you relate to? Is that something that you feel is a similar pattern for people?
Yes, definitely. It just seems as if a lot of different things open, a lot of different horizons open once you start to use your voice. It's not just about singing songs, but it might be a conversation you need to have with someone that you're not excited to have but needs to happen. Like you're saying, you might start noticing you hum when you're driving, and that would probably be healthy. You would be stimulating your vagus nerve just by humming. You'd be taking deep breaths. You're vibrating your energetic field. You're vibrating your body and your chakras and energy field around you. Since we know that everything's vibrational and there are many, many ways to work with our energy Um, Voice is one of them. So shutting that down just doesn't make sense. It's so easy and it's with us all the time. It's, it's your friend.
Mm, absolutely. And I mean, I just want to come to, the title of the conversation is Singing from Your Soul and Freeing Your Natural Voice. So, what does that mean to you? What does singing from your soul and actually freeing your natural voice mean to you, as opposed to, what we may hear on, I was going to say Top of the Pops, then that's showing my age. What we may hear on the radio or on the television.
Yeah, and as a voice teacher, it's something that I worked with a lot myself. I spent a lot of time singing in choirs, singing professionally, and as a voice teacher, I always thought, oh, I need to be perfect all the time and show a perfect example of everything, and my voice needs to be perfect. Um, it doesn't. It's so my opinion, singing from the soul just means get your mind and your judgment and your ego out of the way. It doesn't matter that much what you sound like. It's much more important that you use it. Um, I feel like vocal technique, sometimes I'll meet people who say, I don't want to study voice because I want my voice to be natural.
Mm.
Um, and I understand that perspective. But from my point of view, if I meet someone who was told as a small child, be quiet, and they grew up sort of keeping their mouth tight and they don't speak too loudly, and there's just tension through all of here,
Yeah.
I don't find that to be natural. That's what that person is doing now habitually, but I don't think that's their natural voice. So if I work with them and we start to loosen the jaw and drop them a little more open and find some resonance, find the flow of breath to voice, let it out. I think that is vocal technique then is just removing blockages from your natural voice. So I work with it energetically too, with chakra toning and my favorite crystal bowls and um, humming as a practice. But just learning about vocal technique, how to shape vowels and open your mouth, and how to breathe and feel the flow of breath to voice. That really helps too. Maybe you speak in front of groups, at your job, um, and you're shy to speak. And all of these things help speaking and singing,
Mm.
toning, humming, just use of your voice. Befriend it. Find some simple ways to like it more. I hear so often, oh, you're not going to hear me sing. Trust me. A million times. And through the years, I just thought, why? Why does our culture and our society shut down the voice so much?
Mm.
I didn't have that experience, luckily, myself. But that's an interesting story too. But there's something about it, even more so than movement or how we look. We judge our voices so harshly, and voices come in all different sizes and shapes and colors too. We don't all have to sound like our favorite singer
Yeah.
or Aretha Franklin or Pavarotti. There's a million ways to sound, and we all have our own unique sound. Um, your voice is the sound of you. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
become
I,
friends with that and accept it and love it. And I think you grow to a deeper level of self-love and acceptance.
and for me, being able to be your authentic self and stand in your sovereignty is very much a case of allowing yourself to fully, radically accept yourself, and let go of
Yeah.
all those stories of, my voice, isn't perfect, you don't want to hear me sing, or I can't speak in front of big audiences, or whatever it is. These are all attached to kind of belief programs or traumas that we've experienced throughout this
Yeah.
lifetime or previous ones, where we've had our voices shut down or ridiculed or whatever.
Yeah.
And like you say, as we do one thing, we do all things. And I know from my experience when I had a session with you, it was so tight. It was so tight around here that I couldn't
Sure.
I couldn't express my full and true expression
Yeah.
because my muscles were locked.
So yeah, we want to retrain some habits to find the natural voice.
Yeah.
And we got to get the mind out of the way.
Yeah. So I love the fact that you actually, although, you don't call yourself a light worker and things like that, and you're sort of slightly more comfortable positioning yourself as a kind of a voice teacher, kind of chakra toner kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is that these practices that professional singers go through and practice in breathing, in loosening their facial muscles and the muscles of their torso as well, are actually an essential part of this spiritual process, to be able to free us. I see it as kind of unblocking all of those locks, whether they're self-imposed or imposed by others that exist within us energetically.
Yes.
To kind of let whatever wants to come out and come through. And then the next process is allowing yourself to love that, regardless of what it feels like.
Yeah, and I do that with the beginning of lessons. There's certain things we're doing where we're like, it doesn't matter what it sounds like. But right now, it's just as important how it feels as how it sounds. And right now we're going to focus on how it feels. Yeah, I totally agree. And then, if you are a professional singer, you're grooming yourself to do that, to sound that way. You're training and training and training. Most people, some don't. Some are, some professional singers don't study voice, but most do. It's like being a ballet dancer. You're not going to get up one day when you're 36 and say, I'm going to be a ballet dancer starting now. These are very specific things. If you want to sing opera, if you want to sing jazz with the trio, that's different. We do certain things to prepare for that, and we need to be musicians. But just to make sound and make friends with your voice, you don't need any of that. You don't need expectations. You don't need to be a musician. You don't need to read music. Just, make a joyful sound. Let some sound out.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing, because that was one thing that I noticed in the session. The inability in an instant when you asked me to do it, to actually make some sound in front of another person, knowing that I lived in a semi-detached house and that I had my neighbors as well, and that others were going to hear it. It wasn't just me in a little soundproof room where I could just belt out whatever and it didn't matter. It was like suddenly there was this possibility of ridicule. I was placing myself in that arena.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden my throat just went, nope.
Yeah, I remember that moment. Yeah, I feel like part of what I do too, and maybe all voice teachers, we're just listening. I'm listening, and people notice that, oh, I just sang in front of another human, and nothing horrible happened. The sky didn't fall. She didn't run from the room screaming. I'm witnessing and listening and just saying, hey, it's okay.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. And I think that is so essential from the perspective of everything that we do on our spiritual journey. That is basically the journey we're taking with our ego. Whether we're connecting in with guides, or we're, letting ourselves release a program or a belief or whatever it is, make a conscious choice as opposed to an automatic program that's been running for the whole of our lives. It is that showing the ego that actually, we can take these steps. The sky doesn't fall in. Here's the evidence. Okay, so now I can take a bigger step and a bigger step. And then it just becomes your natural way of being, as opposed to how you were.
Yeah, I don't think about my vocal technique anymore when I sing, but I had to go through that phase. I also had to learn to open my mouth a little bit more. It's one step at a time, and start with simple steps.
Absolutely.
That anyone can do. And that's why I love humming so much. You can start just humming if you're horribly self-conscious about the whole thing. Just hum when you're driving in your car. Hum when you're doing the dishes or watching television. we don't judge that much. We don't say, oh, my favorite Hummer doesn't sound anything like this. There's there's no famous Hummers to compare ourselves to. So start that way. Take a deep breath and hum.
Mm.
Vibrate. Feel it vibrate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's as well something that I love about finding your authentic voice and making peace with that, and not just making peace, but falling in love with that, because there is far too much comparison. You know,
I know.
when you listen to a song, and somebody's singing a song, you are literally trying to copy them, but
Yeah.
that's not your authentic voice. That's their voice. And
Yes.
but that's how we've been trained to be. You know, we are literally being churned out of school as little copies, you know, photocopies of whoever is the right way to be. And
Yeah.
all of our individuality is kind of stripped away. So then we get into the kind of corporate machine, we fit into this box. But we, on the spiritual journey, we know we're not that. You know, we're not fitting
Yeah.
into a box. Um,
Right.
and for me, the freeing of the voice is a massive, massive part of it. So I was wondering, I mean, feel free, everybody, to ask questions. I know somebody has written in a question, which I will get to, but please feel free in the Q&A, in the chat box, put your hand up, however you want to, or feel comfortable asking a question, please do so. But in the meantime, shall we just go through some simple exercises, some simple techniques so that
Sure.
people can practice in the privacy of their own homes?
Sure. Sure. And on the subject we were just finishing, think about Pavarotti, think about Bob Dylan, think about Beyonce, think of several different types of singers. They're just all making their own sound.
Mm.
Bob Dylan doesn't sing, really beautifully, wonderfully, doesn't hold notes for a long time and have a lot of breath. It doesn't matter. He's saying what it's about what he's saying and who he is. So think about that. We're not all trying to be Beyonce. And one other thing, a simple piece of information that I often am astounded how people react to. So, say you are listening to Beyonce and you're trying to sing along with her. Um, she has a certain vocal range, high to low.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a really low voice or male voice, you're not obviously going to be able to sing along with Beyonce comfortably. But if you're an alto, if you're a low voiced woman, you're also not going to sing along with her comfortably. If you were singing that song, you would find a different key.
Yeah.
And so many people think, well, I'm supposed to be able to sing along with, 12 different, my favorite 12 different singers, every song they sing and every key they sing it in. It's impossible. Nobody would be able to do that. So don't compare. Don't sing along and compare. Just know that there's a lot more to it. It's much more complicated than that. So you're not supposed to be able to sing with all those people in their keys.
Absolutely. And something that else that's just coming through is also, and something I've experienced on my journey, I have noticed as I'm kind of stepping into and embracing my progression into what I would consider my wise woman stage of life, and
Awesome.
hopefully my more wild woman stage of life, um,
Excellent.
that actually my voice has got lower. So, and I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know whether that is because of the work that I've been doing energetically to kind of clear and release the blocks that would have kept me into those higher ranges, into more of a childlike state.
Interesting question.
Yeah, so, but that is something that I've noticed. And for me, it's been this journey of actually loving that change. I don't need to
Yeah.
sound the way I always sounded. And it's not something to, I don't know, compare negatively myself with my old self, even, let alone somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have a lot of judgment about that too. And low, medium, high, we should do what basically feels most natural for us because someone with a really high speaking voice might just have smaller vocal cords than I do.
Yeah.
So it's completely natural for them to sound a little bit younger, perhaps, than I do. Um, I think where we go wrong is if we try to be something else. You know, if you're trying to speak in a lower, more authoritative voice, you know, that probably long term isn't going to feel good. It's not natural. So let it be what it is, and if it naturally changes over time, yeah. I think the more you ground, you can get a little lower. I think also as we age, our voices, singing and speaking, tend to lower a little bit because the muscles become a little bit looser that are our vocal cords. And how high or low you are depends on the literal size of your vocal cords.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a sticky one. We want to just do what's natural, whether it's high, medium, or low.
Mm. And to love it.
Yeah.
Love your natural flow, rhythm, and pitch.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, June is saying she's just loving listening to what you have to say, and she's smiling throughout. I think a lot of people can resonate with this topic of silencing ourselves or restricting our
Yeah.
expression,
Yeah.
our vocal expression in particular. And I know from my perspective, one of the things that I was really aware of when just before I started channeling light language, I attended a yoga dancing session, and it was completely free form. And there was a lady there who was absolutely in her element and her essence and was completely free. And it horrified me in one way, but it also, I had so much respect.
Yeah.
She was literally, the sounds that were coming out of her was completely perfect for where she was in that moment and what she was releasing.
Right.
But there was no way that I was capable of doing that, even in a private setting.
No, and it wouldn't be appropriate. She was expressing what she needs to express. And what you need to express could be completely different, opposite end of the spectrum.
But it did make me realize
Yeah,
what blocks I had on myself,
sure.
because I was, okay, I wasn't in that space to do it, but I was like, but I would never have allowed myself to do it. It was like when I was in the session with you, that kind of, kind of,
Yeah.
not coming out, not doing that. That would have automatically kicked in. So that was a big starting point on my journey to actually freeing that within myself, because I then was aware that I actually had the block in the first place.
Right.
So
Try to remove the blocks and see what your free expression would have been in
yeah,
that moment. Can I tell you a story about being a kid and my own
yeah,
voice?
absolutely.
We'll definitely do some exercises soon. Um, so for some reason, about 3, 4, 5 years old, I just started singing. When my parents would have people over, I would get up and sing. We had kind of I had a sad home. It was not a happy place. So I had seen Cinderella and I had seen The Sound of Music. And I would go out and sit on the edge of the property and looking out into the woods and I would sing. And I was soothing myself. You know, I was telling myself everything was okay. And I would imagine that Cinderella, all the little animals coming around and listening to me sing, and it made me happy, and I imagined I was making all the little animals in the forest happy. I'm so glad I found that. I think it's from those movies. And then in kindergarten, which is about age 6, they said on the loudspeaker, they had loudspeakers in those days, we're going to have a talent show. And so after kindergarten was over, I walked to the office and I said, I'm signing up for the talent show. They're kind of looking at me like, oh, that you're a little young, but we'll do it. And then I went to the orchestra room and I asked the orchestra conductor to accompany me, and I got the music and I put this whole thing together. I was 6 and I was shy. I was a very shy 6-year-old from sort of an oppressed home. But for some reason, thank goodness, I found this. Um, my sister says, what's interesting is my sister says I never really sounded very good till I was about 14. But I thought I did. And I remember I had this performance then at the talent show in the auditorium. And I was blown away because I felt people love. I felt love coming from an audience, and I felt like I was giving it back out. And I wasn't, experiencing a lot of love at that point in my life, and it was just incredible. And so I think at that age, I already connected love with voice.
Mm.
I remember the principal lifted me off the stage down to the floor to see my parents, and yeah, so I believed that I could do it. Um, and then I probably just kind of stumbled through for a while, and then I started to become good at it. But I do remember in elementary school, probably about age 10 or 11, someone telling me not to sing. I had a teacher who was singing in a really low kind of alto voice, and so I was copying that. My best friend said, "Don't sing like that. Don't do that." So I think for a couple of years I didn't really sing. And then around 13, 14, junior high, I started getting into it 100%. But yeah, partially because I believed. I also had an experience of being shut down, but I think I was strong enough in my own belief at that point that it didn't harm me for long. But yeah, it's amazing what other people's words can do to shut us down, and what
Absolutely.
our own belief can push through.
Yeah, I mean, I had a client session earlier today, and one of the messages that came through, funnily enough, was, so often we go through life having to see it to believe it, and it's like, flip that, believe it, and you'll see it, and that
Oh,
feels
that's wonderful.
appropriate for this, and again, it's showing yourself that self-love and self-honoring, and believing in yourself, even if the outside reality may not be holding that reflection to you. Just allowing yourself to hold that for yourself. It's like holding space.
Yeah, yeah,
Beautiful.
definitely.
Maria says, as with everything in life, we get to find our way of doing it. Then we are authentic. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So shall we go through some simple exercises, easy
Sure.
exercises for opening people's voice? So, you know,
Sure.
they can practice as many times as they like doing the
Yeah.
dishes or whatever.
If you notice me bouncing, I'm on a bouncy ball, so don't worry, I'm not falling over. Um, One of the first things I notice with new students is this piece of not opening the mouth very much. Tightness in the jaw and the tongue, probably bit in the neck. Neck and shoulder tension is just so common. We need to be stretching that several times a day anyway to counter our phones and our computers and things. But if you don't feel great about how you sound now, you're probably going to not let too much sound out, because then someone will hear you and you might be judged. You might um, make a sound that's not awesome. Well, that's okay. First, you have to be brave enough, find the courage to open this and let the sound out. Because if you stay small and tight, it'll never be a beautiful resonant tone. If so, my voice is what it is, and I have worked with it a lot, of course. But if I don't use it well in the specific moment, it doesn't sound that great. So if I right now sing ah with a really tight mouth, it doesn't sound that great. It's not what I have, it's how I'm using it. So if I open a little bit and I let it out, it resonates. So one of the first things we have to do is like pry the old jaw open. For some people, it really takes time and they feel stressed by just stretching it and trying to open it. So it may not feel great at first if you're very, very tight, but just start doing stretches. Make a pucker to an open shape,
Oh, God,
and
it hurts actually.
just do it very gently and small then. But yeah, resonance happens inside of a space.
Mm.
Um, if you think about a cave where the sound really echoes and resonates, or in the gymnasium, a big open space with hard surfaces. If you make an open space, if you make a cave or a gymnasium, it's going to be better than so that's your first thing. Just work with stretching your jaw and making some sounds with an open mouth. The hinge of your jaw is right in front of your ears. So feel that too. Just take your fingers and remind yourself, yeah, my jaw is here, but the hinge is here. That's a little bit of body mapping if you know that that's where it opens. It's easier to open it from there. And yeah, start with some gentle stretches if it's uncomfortable and try just a few every day. Yeah, massaging that spot too is a great idea.
Yeah. Because that
So
was
that's one
where
of
it
the.
was painful.
Oh, yeah, I understand. So with opening, there's also vowels. Some are easy to open and some are more challenging to open. Like an ah is a really good place to start. Ah. Let it open. Think about the shape your mouth would make if you're about to bite into an apple. And then sing ah. Ah.
I'm not going to do it live.
Oh no, you don't have to. Everybody else at home. A little open, a little dropped, a little wide. Ah. E's are like smiley. E. So a lot of people are super tight on E, but if you can open it, E, it's better. Whatever the vowel is, we want the jaw basically about halfway open, maybe a third. I, O. I'm creating a space where resonance can happen and then the sound comes out. If I'm going, I, O, sounds tight, feels tight. So that's a hard one. And for some people, it takes months. But for most of us, we just kind of think about it, do some stretches, and we can let that go. Let it go. Let that jaw open and let the shape of the vowel happen. Come out into the room. May not be perfect, doesn't need to be, but let it out first and we can refine it later,
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the most important things as well for me is like one of the things that I've learned on my journey, and especially doing these summits as well. When I first started doing the summits, it was a channeled message. I had no idea what it was. I'd never done anything like this.
Wow,
and I
was so brave.
I was looking at all of these like really professionally made things, and the perfectionist within me, which I know a lot of people have and within themselves, which is also creating these blocks, was like, oh, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. And it's like, if I was waiting for it to be perfect, it would have never aired.
Yeah, so true.
So just allow it to be, 50%, 70%, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, allow it to be. And then if you want to, you can refine it more later.
I'm just seeing a question from Will Woo. He says, can you sing certain types of songs or specific melodies that can heal certain ailments? Is there a corresponding tune to a region of the body or part of the mental psyche? Can I be required to sing a song for 7 days, one time a week, to cure a cold or depression?
I don't know that. That would be super cool, and you could write one that your intention is that I'm going to sing this every day and it's going to cure a cold or depression. Intention and sound. This is a Jonathan Goldman is a sound healer who's local where I live and works internationally, and I have studied in one of his programs. He says sound plus intention equals healing. So I would say, Will, that's probably up to you. You can definitely get into chakra toning and feel as if you're finding tones and vowels that specifically, this feels like my first chakra, and I'm going to tone on this because my first chakra feels weak today. Maybe it's a really harsh sound on one day because you need to move some energy. Maybe it's like a sweet, light sound one day because you just need to sort of relax and harmonize, and come into a peaceful place. There's so many ways to use it, and there are lots of people too that you could study that with. That's It's not my thing, but I do it myself, and I do some work with some of my students to find stuck areas and release. But I don't do anything as specific as that.
One of the things that I love is that you've got a solar plexus chakra bowl right next to you,
Yeah, I do.
and yet you were saying that's your root chakra.
Yeah, for me.
So that I love that, because it's like you're owning the fact that, somebody else has written that the root chakra is this, but that's not necessarily yours. And I would say, in answer to Will's question as well, it is about you feeling into where your blocks are, and what tone or what sound or what you're being drawn to doing, and giving yourself that permission slip to make that sound and to let that energy reverberate. And whether that's going to be releasing stuck energy or whether it's going to be strengthening and pulling in energy, is going to be perfect for you. It's going to be what your energetic form requires in that moment.
Yeah, well, if you had a sinus infection, for example, and you decided I'm gonna move up and down through my vocal range, right here, that seems to vibrate my sinuses. That feels kind of good to me, or it feels like it's moving something, or it feels weak there, and I'm gonna sit on that note for a while. You can definitely experiment, and I think you can do some self-healing that way. Yeah. Yeah, as far as the bowls and the chakra tones, I have a full set of chakra bowls, and it starts with the red, that one over here, the biggest one. We use lower notes for lower chakras, higher notes for higher. There are many different methods of doing this. It's a standardized concept that the lowest note for the first chakra is C. It's C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And then you've got 7 notes and 7 chakras. I need to feel that the lowest note correlates with my first chakra, the lowest note that I can sing. So I can't sing a C. E is about as low as I can sing comfortably. So the C, the first bowl is actually a C. I couldn't hang there, and it doesn't feel like my first chakra because it's not strong enough.
Yeah.
This one is. So yeah, some people believe in the standardized C note as first chakra, etc. Most people working in chakra toning believe that you find your own. And there are I use standardized syllables for each chakra. Same thing. When I was really studying into it heavily, it was like, okay, so I've always heard ah is the heart. Ah, that makes sense. But is it the heart for me? So I would try many, many different sounds and come around to say, well, wait a minute, I feel the most vibration at this chakra when I make this other sound. So it is quite individual. And that's how I worked. I decided, no, it doesn't make sense for me to sing that C up here. I want it low in my range and low in my body. So yeah, I use that. So it's actually known as a solar plexus third chakra yellow bowl, but for me it's first. And I do my visualizations. I still visualize red. Yeah. I play it and I don't look at it because it feels right to me. Yeah.
And I think that is the essence of it. Singing from your soul, freeing your natural voice
Yeah.
is what feels right for you. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter whether it's written in a book or it's, people have got letters behind their name and they created, sound healing and they're saying this. If it doesn't feel like that for you, and if something else does, then, it's just about trusting what's coming through for you.
Yeah.
That's what it means to me. Singing from your soul or freeing your natural voice, being your authentic self it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what is out there stating this or that. It's how does it
Yeah.
feel for you?
And I feel lucky too. I've always been that way. If it's regarding religion or um, anything that I've ever studied or thought about, I read everything and then I do what I feel is right for me. So you might study with 5 different voice teachers and take one little piece from each of them, and then you end up with your own,
Yeah,
mishmash, your own tapestry of what works for you and what feels good, and do what feels good. But just use it, use it and experiment and don't judge.
absolutely. Yeah. Are there any more tips? Are there any more
Sure.
exercises that we can go through?
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So, two big pieces that I feel are fundamental is opening the jaw and shaping vowels, but also breath. When we're singing or toning or chanting or humming, it's all air coming out. It's an out breath. So if you don't have much breath in, or if you're kind of weak, feeling weak in your lungs, or weak in the muscles that control your breath going in and out, that doesn't help. So strengthening your breathing muscles helps a lot. So taking just low, deep breaths. Breathe down to the bottom of your lungs. As I'm talking right now, everybody just start to do that. Imagine that it fills, 360 degrees around your lungs. Imagine your lungs are sort of crazy shaped balloons. And feel them, let them expand in every direction possible. Lower back, down towards your pelvis and your rib cage. They come up to about here, so it's high too in your chest. But for singing, we want to focus on breathing low and deep. We want to feel as if we're taking about 2/3 or 3/4 of a full breath. I feel about up to my sternum. I fill my lungs about up to my sternum. If I take such a big breath that it's up in my throat and mouth and I start a note, it's going to just be like splat. I need to control the breath coming out a little bit. So don't feel like you're such a big breath that you're just going to explode, but feel like you breathe up to about here. And just let that extension happen all around your body. So your rib cage is extending, expanding to let the breath in. Your posture needs to also allow breath to come in. If you're sitting, if I'm standing, I got one hip to the side, squishing half of my right lung, then I'm not going to get a full breath. So basic good posture, deep, low breathing. Something most of us think about in other contexts anyway. But with singing, if I let the air out, it just will sort of, in a relaxed way, leave my lungs. That's awesome. And that can make a nice sound. Sort of a breathy, very relaxed sound that's healthy. It's going to feel good in your vocal cords. You're not going to feel any strain or any push here. We really want to avoid that. Any feeling that I'm making things happen in my throat and I'm squeezing it out, think about the breath. Get lots of breath down low in your lungs. Let a really breathy sound, almost not singing, almost just like whispering. And that should feel very natural. Don't ever try to be loud. because as soon as if you try too soon, if you're not having a good foundation of posture and breath and opening vocal technique, then if you try to get too loud too soon, you may not be comfortable. You may strain. So start very soft. Experiment with this feeling of pulling in. So I took a lot of classical lessons in my teens, and the voice teachers would always say, support your voice. And I never asked what that meant, but I was faking it pretty well, so no one ever caught me. Support your voice. I'm sure you've heard that. It really just means a slight pull in at your core. If I'm holding a note and I pull in, so I'm starting from that relaxed place where it's just kind of breathy and I'm not making a lot of sound. If I pull in, when I pull in here, I'm putting muscles behind the flow of air. The flow of air becomes less diffused and relaxed and becomes more laser-like. So if you want to get louder in a healthy way, you just pull in a little bit at your core. That's what supporting your voice means. It feels like a pull in and up right at your core. And you're actually putting a little bit muscular effort with intention behind the flow of air coming out. Flow of air comes out with a little more strength. Voice comes out with a little more strength. So you can play with that. You can kind of bounce like ha, 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 just as if you were panting. Feel those little breathing muscles. It's inner and outer costal muscles in your rib cage, and it's your diaphragm. Work that out. Consider that a new part of your workout routine, that you pant and literally connect and make and strengthen your breathing muscles. And then if you are using your voice, but it's all good. It doesn't matter how loud it is, for this type of energetic expression, whatever feels right again is what's right. When we first start toning, a lot of people feel, and I notice this too, beginning students just for voice, they're going to try to be loud. Don't try to be loud. Let it just, unless loud feels extremely natural to you. Maybe you're a loud person, that's fine too. But make sure you don't try to be loud and feel any strain. We really want the least amount of strain here, least amount of effort here. You want to feel like it's coming from the breath flowing, and that all of this is very relaxed. So those vocal cords can just be set to vibrating by the air passing without tension. Don't make those tense by trying to be loud. Just let it flow. I always think of like reeds, grass in a lake, when it vibrates, when the air goes through it. That's what we want here, just a really relaxed reed that the air can vibrate, not tension in the throat or tension in the cords.
One of the things that's coming through is actually, which hadn't dawned on me before when we had our session, is the lower masculine, the lower feminine, and the divine masculine, the divine feminine. So, obviously the two are, when they marry together beautifully, the divine feminine and masculine, that's divine manifestation. So whatever is your perfect note, and again, there is no perfect, global perfect, it's your perfect note, will be manifested. But if you're in your lower masculine and you're forcing, I want to make a big loud sound, or then it changes the whole dynamic, and then the manifestation of it is strained, or the muscles in your body are feeling, everything feels off, and so it's just, interestingly, it's just come through about that correlation between that perfect flow, divine feminine, and the divine masculine, allowing the expression of that perfect flow to happen naturally, as opposed to falling into the lower energetic and kind of being forceful, or
and feeling like, that's comfortable because I'm more comfortable with a masculine and lower range. Yeah, we do definitely think of higher range, more feminine, lower range, more masculine. Doesn't need to be that way. But, and it makes me think of, a politician that I'm thinking of a specific female politician right now who was speaking in a way sort of trying to, you could tell that she was trying to be authoritative, and it just never rang true. You know, it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're more into your feminine or masculine, or if you are male or female, but just use the whole thing.
Yeah,
Whoever you are and whatever you have, use the whole thing. It's more colors in the palette. If you were painting, do you want to just have one, set of colors? No, you want them all. So use it all, experiment with it all.
absolutely. And quite often, when I'm doing the healing, and from a very visual perspective, and also I hear tones in people's fields. So they often, Spirit often
Cool.
calls it as the divine harmonic and the divine symphony. And of course, a symphony is made up of a number of different notes, a full
Right.
spectrum, a full range. But then I also see it in terms of light, and the spectrum of light that somebody has within them. And again, you don't want it
Yeah.
to be a narrow band that you're kind of trying to do everything in. It's like when you allow yourself to expand into your fullness, which is again freeing your full authenticity, stepping into all that you are. That again for me is when you allow your vocal expression, your voice, and that includes the breath flowing naturally throughout its full range. That's when you're connecting in with your full symphony, you're connecting in with your full spectrum, as
Yeah.
opposed to kind of like, living your whole life from this limited little.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I have a student who, in the past, spoke very low and had been really ridiculed for that. And for us to start moving into her upper range was just mind blowing for her. And it was just so incredible to watch. To me, it was such a simple thing, but not to her. I see something in the chat about singing a joyful song to help with depression. Well, yes, do it. I think I worked with a lot of depression when I was young too by listening to sad music. Whatever you need in that moment. But yes, listening and singing along. Um, I think when you use your own voice, it's even more powerful. But yes, if you feel like, oh, I just need some cheering up today, I'm going to listen to "Walking on Sunshine" by whoever that was in the '70s who recorded that song. Yeah, you immerse yourself in the energy of that musician. If certain musicians, if you feel anger and you need to get that out of your body and you want to listen to metal or to, punk rock, do it. Move the energy through. Um, be careful that you don't get stuck, though. If you're listening to punk rock and you're really into releasing your anger, but you stay there for 6 years, that may not be the best. But yeah, like you're saying, all the colors of the rainbow, all the colors of the symphony. Feel what's right for you that day. Immerse yourself in music. Make your voice work with it. Sing along with it. Um, yeah.
Nikki's just put a question. She loves singing and she plays the piano and enjoys singing along to the piano playing. However, she often feels lightheaded during and after singing, despite being conscious of grounding. Why could this be?
It may just be a lot of oxygen and CO2 being lots more oxygen coming in, more CO2 being released. Um, when students first start taking voice lessons, they often get a little bit dizzy at first, and then it's as if we build up our tolerance for deeper breaths and for more CO2 coming out. I would practice breathing if I were you then. Just do some, like the square breath exercise where you breathe in over 4 counts, you hold for 4 counts, you breathe out over 4 counts, you stay empty for 4 counts. Work with your breath to build up a little more stamina.
And I will say, when I had this session with you and we did that deep breathing and letting the breath and then going and
Mm-hmm.
you know, pushing up with and doing that with sound as well, I ached. So,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
it's really, we have no idea how shallow we're actually breathing.
Yeah, that's so,
That is
it is very common.
that is one thing that I will say. You know, you may think that you're deep breathing, and you do that when you're in a meditative
Yes, but what
situation.
about the rest of the day?
Exactly. Yeah. I really noticed it with my muscles when I did the breathing exercises that you gave during the session. It was like, wow, okay, I feel like I've just been to the gym.
Yeah,
It
and
doesn't surprise me about the lightheadedness that she's experiencing.
yeah, I agree. Probably breath related, and it could a little be energetic too. When I was first teaching, I was doing a lot of chakra toning with each student, putting my hand on their backs and doing chakra toning, and they got so dizzy, I stopped doing it. It could also be, just really moving some energy.
Yes. Yeah.
But be careful, of course, you don't want to walk around dizzy. But
No.
yeah, I would say try to build up your stamina with your breath.
Hmm. Maria said that her singing voice has gone. So whenever she's been in a midlife challenge, a big life challenge, with a lot of strain in the body, she also feels that she's got no energy in her voice. So do you have any advice? Any advice for her getting that back? Because obviously, when she was singing, she felt a lot of peace. She felt a lot of connection with herself.
Well, of course, what's happening with your whole body and your energy is happening with your voice too. When my mother passed away, I had a really hard time singing for a while. I was trying to kind of push through and work when I really had a lot of grief, and boy, the holding that I did in my throat to keep myself from crying was not good. um, to help your voice, work with a little more often. Try just humming. Make sure you are also getting a really good breath in. Um, Start very gently working with it, and also with the rest of your energy and the rest of your body.
Mm.
If you're incredibly stressed one day and you start trying to sing, you're probably going to sing with tension. You need to find balance in your whole body to help your voice release. And I did, work my way out of that period of grief. Um, it just, yeah, what's going on with me is going on with my voice. If I feel fantastic, my voice just flows. So
Mm.
I have to do my best every day to feel as balanced and as happy and as peaceful as I possibly can to sing as well as I can every day. That sounds totally natural to me. I understand if you probably are very uncomfortable if you used to sing and enjoy it and you no longer feel able to do that. I also, at one point, had a stem cell procedure because I had very little disc between two vertebrae in my neck. And the tension I was having just through the whole system from that, I wasn't enjoying singing anymore, and I was having a hard time teaching. I had a stem cell procedure, it fixed the physical problem, and I've been able to sing since then. So many physical and psychological and energetic factors are at play there, I'm sure. And as we age, our voices do change.
Mm.
So it's kind of like my arm muscles. I'm 59 now. I have to work a little harder to stay in shape than I did when I was 40. So I have to work harder on my voice to keep it in shape as well. It's a set of muscles as well. So start very gently and try to befriend it again. Let it be different than it was. Get good breaths, get good posture. Maybe do some yoga first. Do half an hour of yoga and then try singing. Um, it's still there. It may not be the same, but it still has beauty where you are now and what it is now. I'm sure it still has beauty.
Yeah, what's coming through from me is around judgment as well.
Yeah.
You know, letting go of judgment, and also honoring where you are. Like you say, you know, if you're going through big challenges in your life, then the expression, the vocal expression may be different that wants to
Yes.
come through. It may not be in a song, as it were. It may not be a structured anything. I know when I started to allow myself to express and I started singing light language, it was really guttural. Like, you
Yeah.
know, it wasn't anything that I had considered to be light language, because what I'd heard other people's was really angelic and up there and la 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 la, you know, really beautiful. And
Yes.
it really wasn't. It was raw. It was guttural. It was,
Awesome.
um, but it was completely authentic expression. And so, yeah,
Judgment.
just
Yeah.
allowing and honoring. Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes me think, I know a lot of musicians. My husband's a musician, and a lot of our friends are. And as I watch people age, I think of an incredible pianist that I know in our area. He used to have the most incredible technique and could do anything, and his hands and fingers moved so quickly. It was like light on the water. Okay, he's in his 70s now, and that technique is different. He can't do what he used to do, so he plays more slowly and with more heart. The virtuoso player is going to the back burner, and the hard, the authentic, um, more peaceful player is coming forward. My voice isn't the same as it was when I was 40 or 35 or 20. And I've really come to terms with that. It's not an easy thing to come to terms with, something you've been doing your whole life well, and then it changes. But that's life, go with where you are now, and let it be what it is now. I think mine still has beauty. It's different, but it's maybe even more beautiful because it's a little more raw.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from singing from the soul, freeing your natural voice is actually loving whatever is, wherever you're at, wherever your
Yep.
voice is at, whatever wants to come through, loving it all, and having that unconditional love for yourself and for your true and raw at times expression.
Yeah.
Um, the internet just went a bit wobbly.
Oh, how rude.
I
How can
know.
it do that to us?
But it seems to have sorted itself out now. So I'm just aware of the time. We've been speaking for about an hour, and I know that you wanted to do a bit of singing with the crystal bowls or crystal
Yeah.
bowl. But I didn't know if there was any more exercises or anything else that you wanted to share before you did that singing.
No, and nothing else is coming to me right now. I'm wondering if anyone else has any questions.
If anybody's got a question, you can raise your hand, you can put it in the Q&A, or you can pop it in the chat box.
I think we're good, huh?
I think we're good.
Yeah, I just thought I would play my favorite root chakra bowl for me and just set an intention. I'll just do a short little improvisation with my voice in the bowl. Um, my wish is to send healing energy out to everyone who's here and anyone else who's not here that might like to receive it. Um, just to accept and love your voice as it is right now and make friends with it. That's the intention behind my little improvisation.
Wow.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. Absolutely. The other thing that came to mind when you were doing that as well, because I know we did that in our session, and I absolutely loved it. I loved singing with the crystal bowl.
Yes.
Um, just feeling that resonance between your natural voice and the natural voice of the crystal bowl as well, just
Yeah.
unifying. What came to my mind when you were doing that was, what is singing actually? You know, people have this expectation that singing is a song that you hear on the radio. It's got words, it's got, a particular structure.
Criteria.
Yeah, exactly. But to me, that that which you've just done, that is what singing from the soul is. Just allowing whatever. It made me quite emotional actually.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad. And, I recommend bowls. If you do want to explore your voice and you feel a little shy, you got a friend. She's just kind of holding down the note for me. If my voice had cracked a little bit or something, it wouldn't really matter because I've got the bowl with me. And we do entrain to other voices and to instruments and to the bowl. It would be great if you were shy about singing, get one bowl and just sing with it until you feel that its resonance joins your resonance and it shows you how to resonate. You know, and when I'm doing exercises with people, we'll like do a sort of loud high thing, and some of my bowls will just start singing on their own.
Yeah.
They get vibrated by the vibration in the room.
Mm.
So yeah, I just so much want everyone to try something and let go of that judgment. I can't do it. I shouldn't do it. Do it anyway. It's fun. It's healthy. What a great way to work with energy.
Absolutely, absolutely. What a perfect way to work with energy. And like I said, somebody says they've come in late, so I hope you get access to the recording. You will absolutely get access to the recording. I send the sound recording out literally as soon as this is finished and I can upload it. The video takes a little bit longer, but the sound recording will be out
I
immediately.
just saw the person that's harmonizing with their Hoover. Can you sing in your 70s? Yes. Yes.
Oh gosh, yeah, you can sing. Yeah,
Sure. In fact, I had a
I love that.
77-year-old student a couple years ago who came in with an oxygen tank, and after 3 months, didn't need the oxygen tank. And she
Fabulous.
and her doctor, went over everything, and they couldn't think of anything that had changed except voice lessons.
Absolutely amazing.
So, yeah, all sorts of wonderful things happen.
Absolutely. And as I was saying, as we do one thing, we do all things. So if you allow yourself to connect and resonate with your own voice while singing with a crystal bowl, you might find yourself speaking your truth and having that difficult conversation and
Yeah.
feeling a bit more empowered,
Or
especially if
asking
you're,
for a raise, or,
yeah.
starting your own business, or, yeah.
you know,
You're increasing your resonance. You're
yeah.
uplifting your energy field.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we finish, I just wanted to speak to the special offer that you're offering the
Oh,
summit
yes.
audience. So you've got two packages. One of them is a 2 hour live singing and toning group session, which will also have the recording if you're not able to make it live, or if you wish to follow through with it again in your own time afterwards. And that session is going to be on Saturday, October the 16th at 11 o'clock Mountain Time, which is the same time as this session started. So 6
Yes.
o'clock British time, 7 o'clock European, Central European time, 10 o'clock Pacific. And so that's at a discounted price. It's usually would be $100, but it's $57. Then package B is that session, that group session, plus a 30-minute private session with Linda via Zoom or Skype. Do you want to speak a little bit more to the live singing and toning group session, what people can expect to experience on that?
Yeah. Yeah, I would plan to spend about 45 minutes on vocal technique. So working with the things we showed today, breathing, supporting the breath, making these louder and softer, shaping vowels. About 45 minutes with that, with questions, as we go. And then a little break. And then we'll do a full chakra toning session. And you'll be already warmed up and you'll already be in the mode of opening your mouth and letting resonance come out. And I think it'll really enhance the chakra toning period to have learned a bit about your voice first.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's basically the plan.
Excellent.
And generally, when I teach groups online, everyone is muted. We might unmute at times for certain things, especially to talk. I don't do the chat so much, I do it more verbally. But you don't have to feel as if everyone's going to hear you, because they won't.
Yeah.
Most of the time, everyone's listening to me and singing in their own space with the audio off.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I think is better anyway. Not just from the perspective of, somebody who might be self-conscious, but you've got lots and lots of people doing it. It can be off-putting.
It's cacophony, which is nice in its own way, but yeah, it doesn't work too well.
Yeah.
So no worries about that.
Well, that sounds absolutely wonderful, that group session, and as I say, the second package offer is for that plus the half-an-hour session with Linda as well. So well worth checking that out. The details of both the special offer and everybody else's special offers and free gifts are on the free gifts page. Just scroll down to Linda's picture and you will find the details for the special offer link there. Or you can find them underneath Linda's photograph on the upcoming calls page, where the replay will also be placed, and on the replay page. So many different options, possibilities for you to check that out if it feels so aligned. So just to remind you again, it is a live session which will be held on October the 16th at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is 6 o'clock in the evening British Standard Time, 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific. But there is a recording. But obviously it's lovely if you can attend live for something.
Yeah, like I love it when people come live. It's just, energy to work with.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Linda. I've been looking forward to this all week, and it's been an absolute joy. And just perfect. So lovely.
Thank you so much. Thank all of you for coming
to share space with you. Maria's asking, how much is a private lesson?
If you're just coming through me, my website, I charge $85. I do 50 minutes for $85. Normally.
Yeah. Okay, but all the details of Linda's website, how you can contact her, how you can get in touch with her, will also, they are underneath her details on the email that goes out. So yeah. And also on the special offer page, I believe, as well.
Well, thank you, and make a joyful sound today.
No, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your talent and your wisdom and just the improvised song and singing with the toning, the chakra bowl. I think more than anything, that just shows the difference between what we anticipate singing to be and what singing from our soul and singing with our our natural voice truly is. It's
how many different things it can be.
Exactly. Allowing that full spectrum of sound and colour to be enjoyed within yourself. So thank you everybody for joining live. It's been lovely sharing energy with you, sharing space with you. Thank you to all of those who connect in on the replay. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you are in time and space, at whatever point you are listening in, connecting in with this session. Please feel free to check out Linda's special offer, especially because it is on, it's a live session on a particular day, October the 16th. So, you know, I wouldn't want anybody to miss out on that opportunity to be live with Linda on that session. Tomorrow we have a pre-recorded interview, so that email will be going out, but it will also be available on the replay page and on the upcoming calls page tomorrow. And yeah, and I shall see you all again on Tuesday, I believe, for the next live interview, which is with Margot Fraser. So much love to you all, everybody. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.